First up.
Sam Dehne, the Encyclopedia of Reno Government, the most trusted name in Nevada government. Sam has attended every city council meeting since 1994. Sam is an Air Force Academy graduate, spent many years flying fighters and bombers, retiring from the Air Force, and went on to what became his real life, his crusade that started in 1994, a crusade that he didn't even know was going to be a crusade. He started this crusade in 1994 to try to save Reno from its government, and he failed for 15 years. Now we're down to the point where it looks like he was successful, but he wasn't really successful because Sam did not want the city to fail because of all of the blundering of their supposedly elected officials. Sam doesn't like to be a curmudgeon either. He doesn't like to hurt people's feelings. So these folks up here, the city council, they're not the ones to blame for their blunders. You know who should blame? You know who should be laid off? I'll tell you, I'll name some names of people who should be laid off. Let's start with, not by order of preference, but just by name. Let's start with Sue Voiles over there. She ought to be laid off. Brent Boynton ought to be laid off. Bill Brown ought to be laid off. Joe Hart ought to be laid off. Sam, living proof you can't make a man out of a mouse. Shad should be laid off. That guy down there in Las Vegas, Ralston, he ought to be laid off. They all ought to be laid off because it isn't as if you're living in a vacuum. Sam has been warning you. Oh, by the way, I don't want to say I told you so 1,487 times, but Sam did say he told you so 1,487 times over and over and over again, and everybody knows it. The media, look at the media over there. I hate to use that word media. They're the lowest common denominators that money can buy, and it's a disgusting thing, and I didn't really want to be a curmudgeon. But if we're going to have any layoffs, you ought to lay off the media because they are virtually useless anyway. I'm trying to think of some other names, but I don't want anybody to feel as if they were left out because I didn't throw you in there with Joe Hart and all those other mouth breathers that we've got running the operation. You know why they call them anchormen? They call them anchor people because they anchor themselves in the chair. Here we are at this important meeting, and well, I see Voiles over there. She's the regular, usual suspect over there trying to make up something to try to get past her reporters. I will come up here and speak specifically on the agenda items relative to the upcoming budget. But just to close out, Sam has been to this podium, these podiums since 1994, warning you, and 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 all of you know it, and you wonder, how long is it going to be before we recognize Sam's brilliant greatness and his humbleness and give in and say, there you have it, told you so.